Do you remember the time when an artist painter ruined a piece of artwork? A 19th century fresco ruined by somebody who thought they could do a better job than the original artist. This is dubbed as the single worst art restoration there has ever been. But how did this even happen? Hello! Welcome to Brainspill, the laziest show on the internet. My name is Tank, and for those of you living under a rock in the year 2012, or perhaps weren't even old enough to remember it, then this piece of art was the job of somebody who was attempting to restore another piece of art. It used to look like this, and now looks like this. I implore you to find a difference between these two images. While this is crazy that something like this could even happen, we are today going to be digging into this story further to find out how someone who clearly was not capable of restoring this painting was even allowed to get a paintbrush near this thing, and what happened after the story went viral. Look, I know I'm going to be mocking this painting because it's clearly nothing like the original, but don't get me wrong, I'm not saying this in a way like I would do any better. As a matter of fact, this is probably better than what I could do, so, like many people thought at the time, this is well above my pay grade. And why didn't the amateur painter who did this think the same thing? A small 16th century inn in the town of Borja, northern Spain, had a work of art in poor condition. Just for a closer look, this was the condition of the piece prior to the restoration works. Whilst this painting is still incredibly impressive with the detail and skill required to make a painting this detailed, this pretty much just sat on a display for a long time, allowing it to deteriorate over time. As all things go with the passage of time, this art gets to the point where it looks weathered and old. Luckily, we have people who are just as skilled as the artists themselves to be able to revitalise these paintings and bring them back to their former glory that we could all enjoy and appreciate. So, that was what was decided with this piece, a fresco of Christ the Redeemer, painted by Elias Garcia Martinez, 19th century artist who originally did the piece, and over time, this has now needed someone to come and touch up the work. So, how did they find and select an artist to restore the piece? They didn't. A local elderly woman actually found the painting in this condition and, at her own volition, decided to touch up the painting. I can just see it now. I imagine her walking through and finding this painting hung up on a wall and decided, you know what, I could give that a shot. Took it down and took it home with her to then try and touch this thing up. For somebody that actually has the skill and patience to be able to do it, then that might be a nice gesture. But that's not quite how this story ended. I don't know how skilled of a painter this woman is, or if she'd even picked up a paintbrush before, but maybe deciding to do this as your first job off the back probably wasn't a good idea in the first place. So she took the painting away and got to work, pulled her paintbrush out and started giving it a go. That was until after a little while she probably realised that she'd gone a little bit too far into it, and before she knew it, she'd turned Jesus Christ into a giant bloated hedgehog. I've no idea if that was what she was going for, but there it is. Once she'd realised she'd made an absolutely monumental cock-up, she confessed to the local Cultural Heritage Trust to inform them of her work. Ah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Before, after. Before, after. Before, after. Side by side. Before and after. It's uncanny. And this really does make you wonder, because if she'd tried to do this and made a mistake, then perhaps if she just stopped, somebody who's a little bit more experienced might have been able to come in and fix the issue she'd made. However, I think she'd gone a little bit too far at this point, and to restore the painting, you pretty much have to repaint the painting, which, at that point, is it even the same painting anymore? Just to be clear, the piece was not considered a masterpiece and was not anything of any major cultural significance at the time, but reports at the time do state that the piece had sentimental value to the town and in particular the descendants and family of the artist living in the town. The story was first reported in a local blog before mainstream news quickly picked up the story. But a quote was given as follows, which is directly from the blog the story was first reported from. Just over a month ago, we were making a photographic report inside that church, with the purpose of publishing its inventory in the collection dedicated to the religious artistic heritage of the municipalities in our area. At that time, the painting was in poor condition, as can be seen in the photograph obtained at the time. But to our astonishment, we have been able to verify that in the short space of time that has elapsed since then, an intervention has taken place. The result of which is what is offered in this other image. Incredible as it may seem, this is what remains of the work of an artist whose relatives still exist in our city. Yes, people started questioning whether anything could really be done at this point. The art piece was too far gone, and the mayor of the town was pretty pissed off as well, even saying that he was considering taking legal action over what happened. And yes, whilst the city councillor did come out and admit that it was all meant to be done in good spirits, things got out of hand a little bit too quickly. The comments on this article, however, led to a very different mood. Not doom or gloom, but people saying that this was funny, wanting to buy copies of a new version of the art, and even going as far to suggest that the piece could now be a local tourist attraction given the worldwide attention the piece has received since the worldwide media had discovered the story. And then, memes galore. Well, the suggestion made by one of those commenters became a reality due to the fact that the Mercy Church in Borgia is allowing people to come and visit the art piece for a whole €4 to revel in the majesty of this painting. This disaster has just become a blessing on this town, with reportedly 150,000 tourists descending upon the town just to see the painting. Locals questioned why people wanted to see this rubbish painting, but they stated that God works in mysterious ways. Yep, you ain't wrong there. You probably have your own thoughts about if you think this was a good thing or a bad thing to happen, but there's no doubt in showing that given the popularity this piece now had, many tourists were coming to the town, and that was only benefiting the vast majority of the people in the local village. Aside from that, many people actually tried to benefit off the painting and its newfound status, with many local businesses adopting the painting in their actual products, such as local lottery tickets and also multiple wine vendors, all fighting to be able to use the rights of the image on the labels of their wine bottles, which is pretty hilarious. Anything for a quick buck. And yes, for anyone that was around in 2012, yes, this news story was first reported in 2012. That's just how quickly time is going, people. But for anyone that was around at the time, I'm pretty sure you'll remember this piece being in the news. It was everywhere, pretty much. You saw memes everywhere about this thing. And as all news media occurs, the story will be big at the time and then slowly fade to the point where people don't really care about the story anymore, and then we just move on to the next sensationalist news piece. Whilst these things don't last forever, at the time it was very, very big, particularly for the locals of the town. And the artist Cecilia decided that she wanted a piece of the action too, and wanted some of the profits from her artistic abilities. So she hired a local lawyer to try and get what she believed she was entitled to, for her crayon sketch of a very hairy monkey in an ill-fitting tunic. With the battle between her wanting royalties for her painting compared to effectively a form of vandalism on an existing painting, who knows where this might lead. Now, I really wanted to find out more about what was happening with this thing, but since looking at those news articles a few years ago, I haven't seen anything else really published. So I don't really know what happened here. I mean, it might have completely settled and something might have happened, or it might still be ongoing, but no one really knows as far as I'm aware. And I would love to find out what happened with that, and to see if Cecilia managed to get her just rewards for painting that masterpiece. If you like the video, be sure to like and subscribe. If you want to be notified as soon as I upload my next video, be sure to hit the bell button. And if you've got any ideas for what topics you'd like me to discuss next, let me know down in the comments below. As always, sources used in the video will be in the description. Yes, I think this story just goes to show that meme culture can take you a long way these days. Even if you do something which the vast majority of people will despise, there will always be people that will find appreciation in your work, even if it's a meme, but to be able to find enjoyment from that thing, and hey, you never know, if you make something which might even look something like that, then there might be some artistic value in it after all. Like they said, God works in mysterious ways. I'll see you guys in the next video. Fantastic.